come here for a safe space. If I wanted a safe space, I would have stayed in my goddamn apartment and not gone to a protest. You literally don't care about other people's lives. You were in an actual cult. You need deprogramming. What? You right-wing piece of...
Do I have your consent for audio and film for the interview? I just want to make sure, because I'm all about consent.
Okay.
So I just want... Yes. Okay, all right, perfect. With your sign, you have the El Paso shooter on there. Do you have a sign for who inspired the Dayton, Ohio shooter?
I believe that the Dayton, Ohio shooter was inspired by misogyny. He was well known to be a hateful, misogynistic person. He spent his high school years doing things like making lists of female classmates that he wanted to and everybody knew.
Do you know who may have inspired him? Do you have a sign for that?
I don't have a sign specifically, but there's an entire social movement known as, variously as incels or the manosphere or things like that, that are basically...
He oftentimes retweeted leftists from the Young Turks, AOC. He kind of went along with her rhetoric that there are concentration camps on the border, families are being separated, and he was a huge Elizabeth Warren supporter. Do you have a sign that says Elizabeth Warren inspires terrorists?
No, because that was not the motive for his attack. The motive was misogyny. It was rather bizarre that he supported Elizabeth Warren, and I was well aware of that. I'm a well-informed person who reads about things like this.
Okay, so you're well-informed. You said the El Paso shooter was inspired by Trump. Trump is a capitalist, right? He believes in free speech. He believes in illegal immigration and all this stuff. The El Paso shooter was a devout socialist of the type of he only wants socialism for white people. Trump isn't about that at all. He believed in universal basic income. Do you think, you made a face there, do you think Trump supports socialism?
Obviously no, but the El Paso shooter quoted Fox News rhetoric multiple times.
That's not Trump, though.
But they're Trump's biggest fans, and it's pretty obvious that the El Paso shooter was not putting stuff about socialism in his manifesto.
Yes, he did. He wrote about universal basic income and nationalized health care for white people.
These are really weird questions for a so-called leftist to be asking.
I didn't say I was a leftist.
Or for a so-called feminist or any of the
I didn't say I was a feminist.
Or for somebody who really,
Why are they weird? Is it not okay to question you about these things if I was a feminist? I mean, why are feminists not allowed to question other people?
I wasn't saying anything about being not allowed to question other people.
So let's get back to there. Do you think that a universal basic income...
You misrepresented yourself.
I mean, my shirt very clearly says women's rights begin in the womb. I don't think
that could be interpreted in many different ways. And unfortunately...
So do we want to go back to the Christchurch, New Zealand, El Paso, Charlottesville? Where did Trump come in and inspire any of those people specifically? Because Charlottesville, I think we can throw that out of there. That had nothing to do with Trump.
He said they were very fine people.
I'm sorry?
He said they were very fine people.
Who were very fine people?
The Charlottesville protesters on both sides, which is to say...
That's not what he said. He said, I wholeheartedly...
You told me that you were an anti-fascist.
I don't believe in fascism.
You told me you were an anti-fascist, and the questions you are asking are leading directly to fascism.
Can you explain how?
Because you're supporting Trump, and he's a fascist.
When did I say... How is he a fascist?
Because he...
What's the definition of fascism?
It is actually pretty much what you said. Socialism for white people. I mean, it's a very white people only. It's a very...
So if I Googled fascism right now, it would say socialism for white people. Because you know fascism was a response to communism.
Ethno-nationalism. Ethno-nationalism. National socialism. You ever heard the term national socialism?
Yeah, that's
exactly. And when you told me that you were an anti-fascist, you were misrepresenting yourself, because right now you are trying to get me to...
What's the definition of fascism?
You are trying to get...
What's
no,
the definition
I'm not
of
gonna play your
fascism?
game. You are trying to get me to...
Why do you think facts and logic are a game? Because you lose?
Same thing of you. Because you are losing right now.
Okay.
Because you are asking trick questions. Because you are trying to play gotcha with a bunch of trick questions that don't actually have anything to do with...
Just like your sign has nothing to do with Trump inspiring terrorists. This has, these examples are these are the most ridiculous examples I've ever seen. Why don't you have a sign for Elizabeth Warren and AOC supporting terrorists, inspiring terrorists to shoot up people and firebomb detention centers? Why don't you have a sign for that?
That was not the motive.
Why don't you have a sign for that?
That was not the motive. That was not the motive.
AOC inspired someone to go and firebomb a detention center.
That is not the motive. That is not his motive.
Well, that's not an argument. You can't keep repeating something and think that's an argument.
That was what you were doing. You were repeating the same goddamn questions to me.
You seem upset.
You seem like a smug little right-wing gun-toting piece of...
Hey guys, you got that right. I am gun-toting.
Oh, really? Well, how... I guess your fetishization of tools of death is really something that says a whole lot about you and about what
and
you are.
Your generalization of people based on their political ideologies and how you just name call and whatever says a lot about you. A lot of leftists
It
like
is not morally neutral.
get the from me.
You just physically hurt me. You physically hurt me.
Yeah, and I emotionally hurt you too because you have no argument.
Microphone, you.
Say it.
What?
Say it.
You right-wing piece of garbage.
Woo. I'm offended. Okay, well, we're going to move on to the Trump supporters who aren't deranged like this, who aren't incapable of...
You are a piece of shit.
Okay, what else?
I'm smiling, and I find this really entertaining and a whole lot of fun, because I enjoy telling...
So she needs a safe space right now. She probably needs to go get her therapy dog. We have to make sure that leftists are out here inspiring her.
I didn't come here for a safe space. If I wanted a safe space, I would have stayed in my goddamn apartment and not gone to a protest. What do you think a protest is?
You know what? I saw your sign and I immediately knew that this is exactly how you would act. It's so easy to spot a leftist out here in the wild because this is how they act when you try to challenge what they want. And here is a perfect example. Crikey! We found a good one.
You know what? You're a lying piece of shit. You are.
That's so funny because you're holding a lie right here. The El Paso shooter was inspired by Trump. Why don't you have a sign for the Dayton shooter who was inspired?
Anti-fascist. You were.
When have I supported fascism?
You were lying to me when you told me.
You don't even know the definition of fascism.
All right. Well, the thing is that even historians do not universally agree on a definition of fascism.
I just want to know, are you going to have a sign for Elizabeth Warren who inspired the Dayton shooting?
It was because that was not the motive.
What was the motive?
The motive
What was the
misogyny.
motive? Okay. What about the firebombing in the detention center in Tacoma, Washington? That was inspired by AOC and her rhetoric that there are detention centers and camps, concentration camps on the border. That was inspired. Okay, she hasn't heard of it. That's because she doesn't go to Infowars.com and share the links there. She doesn't go there and read real news. She's in here getting fed lies from CNN, from MSNBC, from AOC's Twitter herself.
Do you actually think that it is morally justifiable to
firebomb detention centers? No, it's not morally justifiable for against ICE agents. That's not. No, I don't believe in that.
Small children to die for the mere reason that their parents, who were fleeing gang violence, took them into another country. Do you think that's a morally justifiable?
Your program is right on
your child. Would you want your child
CNN
to die?
Everything you're saying.
Everything. You want your little sister to die. Do you want your cousin, your sister, your
Moan bad.
God, you people are terrible. My God. You people are...
All right, guys, go to Infowars.com, buy the supplements, InfoWarsStore.com, support me there so we can keep coming out here in the wild and seeing all these crazy leftists out here. This is how leftists act in the wild. This is their natural habitat, natural environment. Look at this. This is their natural habitat. This is how they act when they're out here being exposed. And you have to go to InfoWarsStore.com, buy the supplements, buy the t-shirts. Okay, what do you think about this leftist in the wild right here?
Not logical.
She keeps following me. She's already harassed me. She's already assaulted me.
Harassing and insulting? Are you You're the Manson family. You are in an actual cult. You need deprogramming. You are in an actual
That is
cult.
so funny. She mentions deprogramming when literally they are NPCs out here being fed CNN lies. It's like they're programs.
Oh, you're Kaitlin Bennett.
So
I
when
see. I recognize you. You know what? You're Kaitlin Bennett. You're a piece of
No, she's not. Don't be disrespectful to her. No. And that's a lady. You respect a lady. How dare you?
Oh, she's a lady
Yeah,
and
she is a lady. That's right.
my
She
God.
stands up
I
for our
identify
rights,
as a lady,
especially the
yeah.
Second Amendment, which my daughter loves, and she's only 13, and she loves her Second Amendment. So no, we love Kaitlin for what she's doing, and she exposes all of you for who you are.
Would you love the Second Amendment if your daughter were shot?
That's not going to stop it. Who do you think carries guns? People who don't follow the rules or the laws. You're going to take a gun from me, a law-abiding citizen, and you're going to keep it in the hands of the criminal? Are you crazy? You think they're going to hand in their gun to you? No, they're not. They don't follow the law.
Do you really think that that the fathers and mothers of the children at Sandy Hook Elementary
I'm
School?
sorry for that, and I feel bad for them. But
No, you
taking
don't.
away my
No,
gun.
you don't.
Yes,
You
I do.
don't feel bad at all.
Taking away my
You
gun right.
literally don't care about other people's lives. You literally don't care about anyone else's life.
That's true.
You literally don't care about anybody else's life. You're all sociopaths.
Oh, you just heard her. She doesn't care about anybody else's life.
No, I said you don't care about anybody else's life.
How are you going to make that assumption? You don't know me.
You don't know me.
I don't, clearly, but you just made an assumption on me that's not true.
You know,
I do care about everybody.
political views are not morally neutral. You can tell who people are by their political views. And if you believe that it is morally acceptable to jail tiny children, toddlers,
here we
because
go.
of their parents,
So I hope you were out here when Obama was doing it, because guess what, honey? He was doing it first. Were you out here telling everybody that Obama was bad for it?
I was.
no, she wasn't. No, she wasn't.
Thank
Let her
you.
speak.
Thank
She's
you.
a hell of a lot smarter than you
Oh,
are.
really?
Yes.
She's brilliant.
Yes.
And she's brave to come
yeah.
across.
Okay.
How many others are as brave
Kaitlin
as
is
she is? And you have like a sinister smile. Come on,
you
let's
do.
go.
You're a
monster.
You do.
You truly are.
Cults like sinister smile.
All right, this is what leftists do in the wild when they mob up. They see each other. It's kind of like a mating call, and then they find each other and they're like, "Oh, we have to grab onto them. We have to make sure that we have this mob mentality." She couldn't stand up here by herself. She has to be drug off by another person. They're gonna go join the mob over there. They're gonna go in their echo chamber and pretend that everything that they just said was right and logical and made sense. Crazy.
Kaitlin, you are a warrior.
Thank you.
Thank you.